It is a day for making, for 3D printing, and over here for machine embroidery. Can you ever have too many machines at once? Good morning, everybody, and welcome to my weekly vlog for Monday, September the 12th, 2022. And this is vlog number 280. And just before we begin, we're thinking about the Americans. Well, yesterday, of course, because it was 9/11, and we will never forget that. It affected the United States, of course, and it definitely affected us in Canada as well. And, well, it basically affected the world. So we will not forget that terrible day. What was it? 21 years ago. So anyways, our thoughts are with the American people today. Okay, moving on. Let's talk about what I've been working on. Let's have some coffee first. And let's just take a look. Yes, I now have gotten my appliques and freestanding lace stars and snowflakes all sewn to the quilt top, my scrappy Christmas tree quilt, as I call it, and it's sitting out in Lucy room waiting to be put on the long arm for quilting. I will say a little bit more about this quilt on this week's episode of The Idiot Quilter, but it's coming near to the point of being finished. And I also finished this one this week, well, the top anyways, and as we speak, this one, it's called Gnome Antics. It was a kit. I had to have it because it had gnomes on it, and you know I love my gnomes. And it's sitting on Lucy right now, and I've got a couple of rows already quilted on it. I'm just doing an edge-to-edge design. I think it's snowflakes. I'm doing them in sort of a goldy yellow color. And yeah, I'll show you that too, probably next week when it's completely finished. And yes, I have been very busy thinking about Halloween as well as Christmas, so I completed this in the hoop embroidery project. I thought it was cute. It could be either a table runner, or a banner, but I think I'm going to use it as a wall hanging decoration on my front doors of my house. I'll put it up probably the 1st of October, and it'll sit there for a month. But I think it turned out pretty nice, pretty cute, and I love doing in the hoop projects. And I'll say more about this one as well if you're interested tomorrow on The Idiot Quilter. And I had a craft and chat day, no, pop-up sew day this week. I had a craft and chat too. We'll come to that. And I made these two baskets. I had a little problem with the instructions for one of these baskets, but I got over it thanks to the help of Adam Sews. And if you've never checked out his YouTube channel and you're a sewer or quilter or whatever, you really should. Adam Sews. And yeah, and I'll say more about that tomorrow because as far as I was concerned, this was a major weakness of this particular pattern. I was thinking of making a bunch of these for holding like small Christmas gifts for Christmas time, but I'm thinking I won't. Now, and again, I'll talk more about that tomorrow on The Idiot Quilter. And my project I'm working on right now, this is a prototype. This is a freestanding lace in the hoop project. It's a tea light candle holder. I think it's kind of cute. You can make them in any colors that you wish. The one thing I don't like about this particular one that I made, the first one, is I stuck to the size that they defaulted to, and I think it's too big. So I'm making another one where I have reduced the size to about 80% of this size, which I think will be a little better size for a small electric tea light candle in it. So I'll keep you abreast of that as I get them done. And this is potentially something that I could include in my little gift bags at Christmas time. Okay, so those are the things that I have been up to. And that takes me to YouTube channel of the week. Now, this one is for those of you that are technophiles, like I tend to be. And so those of you that love the toys, all electronic toys, are going to really like this particular YouTube channel. And well, here's my review of what's called Snazzy Labs. This week's YouTube of the week is something for the techies out there, which I consider myself as being one of, and it's called Snazzy Labs. And I came upon this just by accident, just randomly going through YouTube, and found this. Now, there are lots and lots of channels that review technical devices, but this one caught my attention because it seems to be more geared towards those of us that are users of iOS products like MacBooks and iPhones, etc. So if you take a look at this, the one that really caught my attention was the iPhone 14 is going to be weird because Walter and I are thinking about upgrading our iPhone to a new one. We have 10s, and well, they're going to come out with the 14 very soon. So I think it's time for us to invest in a newer model. However, I wanted to see what the new iPhone, what they're predicting it will have. These videos that are on here are often predictable ones, or ones that predict what's coming up, and they're usually there before the fact, basically as teasers for the new products that are being put out by Apple. But on this particular YouTube channel, as you can see by the playlist, there are lots of things besides just Mac products or Apple products. We have electric vehicles, retro reviews and tech history, headphone speakers, audio and hi-fi, DIY projects, etc. There are lots and lots of things for the techie in your home. So if you own Apple products, or if you own a lot of tech products, and who doesn't this day, you may want to check out Snazzy Labs. So as always, you will find the link for Snazzy Labs in the show notes below. You will find a link for the latest Stephen and Walter live. We talked, about everything as usual, but we did focus a little bit on what I call the fall and winter, the deadly seasons, because this is the time of year now that we're getting ramped up to get all of our shots that we need to get us through the bleakness of winter. And what I'm talking about is, well, of course, the next booster for COVID. Just waiting for them to say that we can get that here in Ontario, and that'll be my 5th COVID shot. And then, of course, there's the annual flu shot. And then they're also talking about, for people in my age group, getting a pneumonia shot. Now, I have never had the pneumonia shot. Walter has, but I probably should look into that as well. Although he used to get it when his mother was in a nursing home because, he didn't want to spread any, if he had a cold, he didn't want to give it to his mother because that could have resulted in pneumonia. And yeah, I'm not sure why I didn't get one. My mother was in the nursing home too, but I guess I never did. I know Mom she used to get the pneumonia shot. Well, they pretty much recommend that everybody in a long-term care residence gets a pneumonia shot because, yeah, that's pretty obvious. So there's that. And of course, you keep hearing about getting shingles shots. Now, Walter's had his back a while ago, a few years ago. I supposedly had one quite a long time ago, when I think they first came out with it. And that was with my old doctor. I don't remember getting it, but according to my new doctor, it's on my list that I had it. So I don't know if I need to get another one or not. May have to look into that. Yeah, so there's all of that. And then, of course, everybody's ramping up, or the drugstores are ramping up to sell you all the preventative medicines for colds and flu and everything else. So things will be flying off the shelves for those. So, yeah, I guess he used to joke that we had only 2 seasons in this country, winter and construction. Actually, I think we only have 2 seasons, but I think it's construction and disease. Yeah. So we talked about that. And there is a link to the Idiot Quilter episode 183, where I talked about more of my projects and things that are coming up there. And I also put up a special, so we had a So Chatty episode about how I use the computer on the long arm. So I'm showing you just the initial stages of it, and I intend to make more videos about that as I get more familiar with the computerized system. And I have to say, I'm glad I took that course, that very expensive $600 course over 3 days. That really helped a great deal. However, there's still a steep learning curve involved with all of this. And yeah, it'll take some more time, but bit by bit, I'm learning more and more about it. And there is an interview link as well with Sheri McGill of Lessons Learned. Wonderful lady. If you're into quilting and sewing, you'll definitely want to check out her YouTube channel, Lessons Learnt with a T. Okay, and but check out the interview because Sheri is a wonderful individual. She's just so warm and friendly and very knowledgeable about quilting and other things related to sewing as well. Okay, so that takes me to what's outside my window this morning. It's raining. Yes, it is. It's kind of gray, it's kind of dull, it's kind of wet. But I guess, well, we kind of need the rain too, as well. So there it is. And yeah, gray day. Sort of a precursor to what winter will bring. Gray days of winter. I think that bothers me more than the cold in the wintertime is when you get up and it's dark and the rest of the day is gray and then it gets dark again. And I guess that's what brings on seasonal depression for some people as well. And I have to admit, sometimes I feel a little that way as well. You know, when the sun is shining and it's nice out, you're happy. When it's miserable out, you're not so happy, right? That's how the weather affects us. So that's what things are looking like today outside my window. Okay, that takes me to my 3D printing corner. And there we go. Yes, gnomes. I know. I'm all about gnomes. But anyways, I was doing some experiments. I found this vase actually, that you see the gnome attached to, and I really liked the design of it. And I wondered if my 3D printer could handle this. And it could. So I made the vase or the pot holder or flower pot, whichever thing you want to call it. I made that first. Then I thought, let's attach a gnome to it because, well, why not? Okay. So I made the little goldy bronzy colored one. That's supposed to be gold filament, but to me it's more of a bronze. Um, so I did some merging of models together and came up with him. And I really thought this was kind of cute. It would be great as a pencil holder, craft supply holder, sewing notion holder, you know, whatever you want for it. So I thought, well, can I make it bigger? Well, yes, I can. And there he is. The blue one is about twice the size. And he takes a long time to print. He takes 4.5 days, and that's 24 hours in a day. So I've got one right now on my printer going in the background. I started it yesterday. He won't be finished till about Thursday. And I'm keeping my fingers crossed that at about the last hour of the printing, it doesn't go all awry, because they do at times. And I'm kind of thinking of, I'm not going to make too many of these really large ones. I might make some more of the smaller ones, but I'm kind of thinking of filling these with maybe some Christmas type candies and things to give one to my nephew and one to my niece as well. I know they're a little bit childish, but yeah, my nephew and niece like childish things. So, I mean, they are adults, okay? They're not little kids, okay? They're in their mid-20s. Hard to believe. In fact, moving towards their late 20s, really. But, you know, gnomes are ageless. Everybody loves a little gnome, don't they? Well, I do. So everybody else should too. But anyways, that's all I've been printing lately on the 3D printer. I need to go through my Halloween decorations because I made a whole lot of 3D printed Halloween decorations last year and see if there's anything I can print and add to the collection. Um, Ever since I got the 3D printer and got into quilting as well, I've become this person who decorates for Halloween now. I didn't used to, but I do now. So, yeah, I'll have to check that out later today and see what I've got. All right, so that takes me to what's pissing me off this week. Well, it's not pissing me off. Uh, you know that the Queen passed away at 96. Not unexpected. I was kind of hoping she'd outlive her mother. Her mother lived to 103. Of course, her mother was usually pickled in gin, but then which must be a good preservative. But yeah, it is sad. And whether you're a monarchist or not, or whether you are in a country like the United States that do not have any kind of link to the monarchy, um, I think we can all agree that Queen Elizabeth was a wonderful woman. She was definitely dedicated to her job. She did it with grace, she did it with intelligence, and she did it with some humor as well. She saw a lot of changes in the 20th century. I mean, she came to the throne just about mid century, and she went through, well, she basically lived through the end of the Second World War. She came to power in 1952 as the Queen, uh, unexpectedly and suddenly as well. She rose to the occasion. She went through turbulent times in the 60s, in the 70s, in the 80s. Well, was there a decade that didn't have turbulent times? She saw a great deal of change in both technology, in social patterns, in lifestyles, everything like that. This lady saw a lot of change, but in all cases, she rose to the occasion and she really brought the monarchy into the 20th and 21st century. She did. I mean, one of her reforms that she made was the whole idea of who's going to take the throne after a king or queen passes on. Well, traditionally, it was the firstborn son. She eliminated that. Now it just has to do with birth order, not whether or not they're male or female, which for William's children, her grandson, who will be king possibly one day, I mean, his first child is a boy, but if anything happens to George, Charlotte, his little girl, his second child, could become the queen. So, that was progressive and forward thinking on the part of Queen Elizabeth. And that's what she was like in everything she did. Um, I'm sure it was a hard life. Yes, I know. The royalty are treated like royalty. Plus lots of money and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's definitely a lifestyle that we could all love. We would all like to get accustomed to, right? But she and it would have been easy for her to just really do nothing because she's only a figurehead. She was only a figurehead in uh, the UK. She was a figurehead here for us in Canada and for any of the Commonwealth countries as well. But she really didn't have any major power in politics anymore. The monarchy did not. Um, but I guess tradition kept them in place. Um, and that's fine. I mean, I think that's one of the things that makes Canada unique is our link to the monarchy. But having said all of that, and now that we have a king, and I've only known a queen my whole life, so it seems very strange right now to say, God save the king, like that we have the king of Canada kind of a thing. I guess we'll have to change our money. It'll have to be Prince Charles, or not Prince Charles, King Charles III. His picture is going to have to go in the money. That's going to be strange. We're used to looking at the Queen, on the looking back at us every time you look, you get some paper money. But anyways, as a monarchist, well, I'm really not a monarchist. I admired the royal family. to a certain extent. The Queen especially. The Queen for sure, I admired. Her children, not so much. William and Kate, her grandson and his wife and their children, I think they're going to make a great royal couple. Like if he, I don't know if I'll ever see him in my lifetime come to the throne, but I think he'll make a great king and she queen as well because they are great. Not Meghan and Harry, however. And I heard yesterday on Stephen Walter Live that Americans really do not like Meghan at all. Well, we're not fond of her either. But Harry was, well, he's very much like his Uncle Andrew, Randy Andy. You know? Um, Good looking guy, but an a-hole, really. He doesn't take his responsibilities well. Let's just hope that nothing happens to William because he's the next one in line for the throne if William doesn't make it. And I don't know. They were living here in Canada for a while, Meghan and Harry. Now they've moved to California. California can have them as far as we're concerned as Canadians. Well, I shouldn't speak for all of the country, but I think a great number of us feel that way. Anyways, I digress. Back to the monarchy and its effect here in Canada. I think we need to abolish the monarchy, at least our ties to it here in Canada. And the reason I say that is basically a financial thing. First of all, the monarchy has absolutely no bearing on the governance of our country at all. Yes, every time a law is passed at the federal level, it has to have the Queen's consent at the provincial level as well. And that is done by the Queen, or now the King, I should get you said the King's representative, and that's the Governor General of Canada, and then each province has a Lieutenant Governor General. Those people make big bucks. Big bucks to basically sit around and do nothing. Sign this decree, sign that decree. They're more like ambassadors, but they don't even do the job of an ambassador. So why do we have them? Tradition. Yes, it is written into our laws and things, because we were a colony of England and all that kind of stuff, and that's where it all comes from. But we can change that. Now, the argument is it costs a lot of money and takes a lot of time to change all of that. Well, let's get on with it, shall we? Because in the long run, I think the money we're going to save by not paying those salaries, I mean, each one of those individuals makes a 6-digit salary. That's a lot of money. A lot of money that could be rechanneled to the provinces or into the healthcare system or into the education system or other things in our country. It's a waste of money. Let's cut the tie. I mean, tradition is one thing, but when tradition starts costing you big bucks and money that could be used in a better way, then let's change it. We need to get rid of the Senate as well in this country. We'd save major big bucks there because the Senate is a useless body in government. They really are. They have outdone their time. Yes, we're based on a parliamentary system that's based on the UK's parliamentary system. Okay, we are a separate country. Let's move forward into the 21st century and let's reform our governmental structure. Really. But I know there'd be political analysts and people who are, in the know about politics and how governments run who would strongly disagree with me about all of this, So it's not going to happen, but I wish it would. But does that mean that I hate the monarchy? No. And I have a great deal of respect for it, but because of Queen Elizabeth. Her children have been, for the most part, a bit of a disappointment to her, I would say. We'll see how Charles works out on the throne. He's a tree hugger. I don't know. He's got some ideas, so they say, about reforming the monarchy. Don't know what that means. Each of the children in the royal family are dysfunctional. I mean, Charles he has like emotional trauma from his father's treatment of him growing up and things like that. Look at Randy Andy, his brother. Yeah, sex scandals coming out of the Yahoo there. Edward, well, you don't hear much about Edward, but is he gay? I think so. The boy opens his mouth and the ruby slippers fall out. I mean, yes, he's married, he has children. Well, that can happen, okay? But he's pretty much been kept in the royal closet, I think, there as well. Wouldn't be the first royal to be of that persuasion. And I've got nothing against it, obviously, but you know, it is the 21st century. Just come out, okay? Then there's Anne, Horsey Anne. She loves horses more than people, apparently. You don't see much of her either. Possibly a good thing. I don't know. But they're all very dysfunctional, you know. So, you know, like William and Kate are a breath of fresh air out of it all. You know, I mean, and that's probably thanks to the influence on when they were younger, William and Harry, of their mother, Princess Diane, which of course we lost her as well. But you know, William's wife, Kate, she seems very classy, very intelligent. I think they would do a lot, depending on how much damage Charles does to the throne. I think they have the potential of, if the monarchy is going to survive, I think it will be William and Kate who will help it to survive. But, you know, it's always fun to be a royal watcher, isn't it? And for the next week and a half or so, this is the story, the Queen's death, her funeral, everything, will be, you know, forefront of the news. Whenever they televise the royal funeral or that kind of thing, I'll probably watch it. I mean, I watch the royal weddings when those happen. And as I said before, this is the first monarch to pass on in my lifetime. So, yeah, it is historical. So no matter what way you feel about the monarchy, you have to admit it's interesting to follow them. Okay, so moving on, speaking of other places, here is part 2 of my trip in Australia in 2018 to an area just outside of Perth called Fremantle.
Look at the ears at the top a bit more.
Yeah.
Correct. So it represents the proud line of Holland, a very iconic symbol logo back then, and used to be carved out of gold on the side of the ship, but also at the bow of the ship as well in wood. So very nice. Imagine how it looked like originally. And back then, the Dutch, the representing or drawings of how to build the ship back then, they were wonderful craftsmen of that time. And what they would do, they would use 2 layers of painting and in between.
Now, does Australia have a problem with frogs?
We've got a problem with toads. That we've brought in to eat the cane beetle that was infecting the sugarcane crops in Queensland. So they brought in a toad to eat the beetle that was eating the sugarcane. And of course had no natural predators,
So now you got a lot of toads.
we've got a lot of toads in the tropical areas. They don't come down here because it's too cool.
But they're poisonous to reptiles.
Oh, are they?
Yeah,
And as a result,
poison.
they're a real threat to the natural environment.
Yeah.
Oh.
our own frogs, anything that eats the cane toad will die. So birds being our native species have died. And lizards and anything that the cane toad can eat. Even snakes have died from it. So yeah, it's been a big disaster.
There was Irish political prisoners were brought out here too, and as convicts. And there's quite a story about how they managed to get word back to the US, and a US whaling ship came out here, and the Fenians were able to steal out, I think through this tunnel, I'm not too sure, but the American whaling ship took them away to the Californian goldfields in the end, which was fine by them.
They didn't really care. Well, they have dramatic music and everything in here.
I had a French artist, I think, about 6 months ago, and he decided to draw it.
If you look from upstairs, it's supposed to
Oh, yeah?
this tunnel we used to actually. Used to be nearly double the length. Go right out there.
So this is the high street.
So,
Pretty much all of the architecture here is the gold rush. Will suddenly blossom.
I was going to say at night this probably livens up, right? They have a lot of cafes or stuff, or
Yeah.
Oh, there's one
Strip.
strip.
yeah.
We call it the cappuccino strip that it gets going.
WhatsApp keep on telling me it knows WhatsApp to receive messages. No, I don't want to receive them.
Some of the water was really
Yeah, it's very strong. Yeah, hotel. Yes, last night we made our way down to where you talked about food trucks.
Yeah, yeah.
And that. Oh my God, there were so many people. We didn't eat anything down there. There was you couldn't get.
I don't free market foods on.
Are they jumping off of that?
I think they might be.
Yeah, you can see why. Got one.
Good one.
what we call a blowfish.
Oh,
Blowies.
And these are a type of fern?
Yeah, tree
Yeah.
fern, they're called.
Okay, something, we have ferns, but they're little tiny
Little
things.
ones, yeah, these will
Yeah.
get quite tall. They've just got big enough now that they don't poke you in the eye when you're walking past. Oh, Marina, you got those things?
And look, they have outdoor furniture.
Yeah, we can actually leave outside.
Yeah.
This is just outdoor furniture, it doesn't come indoors. But these used to be like a very, very dark grey, but you can see where they've faded.
From the sunlight.
This is what we need.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This would be nice.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
So we about when we moved you in here, this was, we had like a little patio that came out to here, a little roof over
Okay.
here, and then gum tree, another gum tree, ferns, a palm tree, 3 peppermint trees, and all the rest was just all lawn. So Steve built this the spa house and the deck and
Oh, is this your little doggy?
No, I don't
Oh.
know. Is that
Oh,
little
he came to
dog
visit.
is?
Who's that little?
Is,
Hey puppy. Hey puppy.
Who do you belong to? Little girl?
Checking out how to
Yeah, it looks nice.
checking out how to do ours over.
Yeah. Be nice to have something like that on the back.
Yeah, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
And that takes me to events in the past week. Well, we had a couple of them. Craft and Chat we had on this past Wednesday. Not a lot of us there, but it doesn't matter. Quantity is not important. It's quality. And it was a quality group. They were fun. We learned from each other. We worked on projects. I just have a good time every time on Craft and Chat. And then we had a pop-up sew day on Saturday. Now, we were supposed to originally go and do an interview with Zach at Kawartha Quilting and a store tour that day, but then Walter found out from the guy that teaches his online sewing class that he was having an in-person pop-up sew day, or not pop-up sew day, an in-person sew day. And Walter said, well, he didn't have to go to that or whatever, but I knew he wanted to go to it. So I said, well, look, I'm sure I can make arrangements with Zach so that we can put the interview off and do it next weekend, this weekend coming now. And you can go to that. So Walter did. And I had a pop-up sew day. And we had a plan at one point. We thought that maybe halfway through the day, Walter could connect to our Zoom because they had a Wi-Fi connection at the place he was going to do his in-person sew day. And then, he could show everybody on the pop-up sew day what he was working on and maybe, what the facility looked like that he was in and what maybe go around and show us what other people were working on because they were garment sewers. If they're not quilters. That was the plan. That didn't happen. And it didn't happen for, well, a good reason. And we discussed this reason at length on Stephen and Walter Live. So if you haven't seen that yet, tune in for it because you're going to get a laugh because it was a very different in-person sewing day for Walter. There were some interesting characters there. Stuff that we felt maybe not appropriate to show on the pop-up sew day. So if you want to know more details about it, check out Stephen and Walter Live. Okay, so what's coming up? All right, well, already I mentioned it. We are finally going to do the interview with Zach at Kawartha Quilting and the store tour. I hope that all goes well. I hope we don't have to change the date again, but I think it should be a go this coming Saturday. So watch for that interview coming up in the next week or two on that. And some updates on the retreat. Yes, I am getting things together now. The retreat, the Idiot Quilter retreat, will be on October the 22nd. That's a Saturday. It's all day from 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I will be sending out to those of you that are on my retreat mailing list, I will be sending you out details as to how to register for this. It is free. It's absolutely free. But how to register for it so you have your spot reserved, because I think the spots are going to fill up pretty quick. I will establish a waiting list if that happens as well. And well, all of those details will be in an email that I will send out to those of you on the retreat mailing list. Now, if you're not on the mailing list and you'd like to be on it, just send me an email. My email address is in the show notes, and saying that you want to be on that list. I need your first and your last name and your email contact address as well, and you'll be on. And once I open up registration, you'll be able to register and reserve your spot for the retreat. Now, I will also be putting all that information, a link to that, not this week, but probably next week, in the show notes for every video that I do up until the time of the retreat itself. I will also be doing updates, like schedules, a schedule for the day, more about my guest speakers, all that kind of stuff. And I will keep everybody up to date via email. And that'll be for the registered users as well. So initially, an email will go out to those on my retreat list. And as I get people registered and that kind of thing, I'll be sending out updates about different things to those people who are registered as well. So yeah, so watch your email if you're on the mailing list for that, and watch this space and the Idiot Quilter space for more details as time progresses for this. And I'm excited about the retreat because it's always a lot of fun. It's a lot of work. I'll admit to that. It is a lot of work for me, and I don't usually get any sewing done with it. But, it's fun work, that kind of thing. So, yeah. And did I mention there will be prizes as well? So, yeah. So stay tuned for more information coming soon. So I think, I skipped over something I just realized I missed. And I wanted to show you this. We did buy new toys. Now, we don't have the new toys right yet, but I'll just pop it up here on the screen for you. We bought new iPhones, ordered new iPhones. They're supposed to be coming this Friday. We both got an iPhone 14 Plus. This will replace our existing iPhones, which are 10s. So yeah, we're a little behind in the upgrades. But it was time to do this. Yes, they're expensive toys. I mean, by the time you're done with tax, they don't charge you anything from Apple for shipping, but then we get Apple Care as well. And then there's a few little accessories like a case, a protective glass cover for the screen, an extra type of charger and things like that. By the time all is said and done, it with tax and the whole bit, my new iPhone's costing me $2,200. Yeah, we buy them outright. We do not buy on a plan, because you end up paying more for the phone that way, and you're locked into a plan for several years. And we do not. We have pay-as-you-go systems, and so that's why we buy the phone outright. With that. And with Apple Care, you have a warranty, an extended warranty, basically, that protects it against almost anything. You drop it, it smashes, you're covered, that kind of deal. So it is worth paying extra money for Apple Care, I can tell you that, because I had to use Apple Care on my old phone because I washed it. Yeah, they covered it. Yeah, so anyways, that's the new toy. We're expecting them on Friday of this week. And next week, I'll show it to you and tell you all about it then. Okay, so that's me for today. I hope you have a great week. Check out Stephen and Walter Live if you weren't there on Saturday, just for the story about Walter's in-person day. You're not going to believe it. I can tell you that. And of course, check out Idiot Quilter this week as well. So we'll see you later. Have a great week. Bye for now.